Hey, for those of you online, just a heads up, we will be starting at 1:05 just to allow everyone to get in. So if you want to grab a water or coffee, you have time. Probably that's if you have Canva Pro. Hey guys, if you're online, I just turned on my mic. We'll be starting in just 1 minute here. We're just talking about Canva Pro. If you're online and you haven't gotten Canva Pro, just so you know, you do get a discount. Being with KW, I'll show you at the beginning of class how to get that discount. But anyway, yeah, so that brand kit is awesome. You can just go in Canva, look up real estate seller tips, right? and then click one button and it'll apply your brand. That
Mhm.
is only a feature of the pro accounts.
I didn't, we did that. You showed me last week.
Did
You
we-
shared that discount with me, but I didn't have a chance.
Okay, well, we
So
can
I
always
did that.
implement it together. All right, guys. Yeah, so while we're gearing up here, I'll show you where the notes are for today's class. If you do want that discount code, I'll show you where that is. Same place as the notes, right? KWB Resources is where all good things live in our office. Like if you're looking for information, this is where it is, okay? So I know you've seen KWB Resources a lot, like in your orientation, but just to point out some good things to know, like under office resources, if you hover over that, right, that gives you the advertising guidelines, what you can and cannot, or what you should be putting on business cards or your email signature, flyers that you print, right? If you do a concession request or do not call list. I do want to point out that there are backup forms and checklists here, but you'll see all of that in today's class in DocuSign, which will take us nicely over if you hover over tech resources, okay, where the notes are for today's class is that second option down, tech calendar. So the notes are under the tech calendar. You can always access this. It's on the very bottom. So just scroll down past the two images and we're looking for DocuSign. That should be near the top here. But if you are wanting, before clicking into DocuSign, if you do want the discount code for Canva, just a heads up, that's at the very bottom. It's under the KWFR's Family Reunion 2024 updates. They just released this like earlier this year, this partnership with Canva. So if you do want that discount code, KWFR 2024 updates. So that's the name of the notes. And again, I'm under Tech Resources and Tech Calendar. And scroll to the very bottom. And that's where you're able to click on this. And then that Canva discount is the very top option. Just a heads up, it's 20% off the entire year. So like Canva Pro is something like $10 to $12 a month. I think it's $12 a month. So the yearly subscription is around 120, but with the 20% off discount, you end up getting it for around $90-ish. Do you remember how much it was, Carla? Exactly?
90s.
Okay.
Like you said.
90s. Okay, yeah.
Because actually, my daughter was trying to buy it separate. It was 120.
120 for the year. So that's
Yeah.
a pretty solid
Yeah.
discount for the entire year. And this, of course, this class isn't on Canva, so it's kind of a side note. If you want me to teach you Canva, I absolutely can. Like you can book a one-on-one. But what's so cool is buying, that for the whole year, you can just type in real estate sellers tips, real estate buyers tips. And you can grab those for social media. Now you can do that with the free account. You'll just see that you can't use a lot of the material in there. So you can see if you can use it for free, but if you have any questions on that, feel free to email me. I'm going to put my email in the chat. So anything I talk about, feel free to email me and I can always help you in a one-on-one. Or also, right, you can come to the classes or I can send you a video. Or you can book one-on-one. So last thing to tell you guys, so I'm going to grab those DocuSign notes now from that Tech Calendar tab. I'm just going to scroll up slightly to grab those DocuSign notes. But just a side note, you can click I need tech help on the top right to access our Calendly link to book with us anytime. Okay. If I click on that DocuSign option, that'll take you to all the 10-minute videos and written notes, if you prefer, on how to do DocuSign step by step. So I would really recommend bookmarking this. So I update this all the time. It's a live note. So if you click the star icon on the top of your, URL bar, it'll allow you to bookmark it. This would be a great thing to bookmark so you can easily get back to it. So when you're wondering, hey, I'm under contract, what do I do when I go under contract? I can simply watch that video, right? All right, so this is a great resource for you if you prefer to watch it in written notes, or if you like a video, like how I learned to do this. I watched a video and I rewound it and I did that over and over. So if you do that, live in a transaction, I do have a 30-minute overview and written notes on how to do this. So I'm going to pull up the written notes at the top just so you guys can see how I'm reflecting it. And we're going to go through these steps, the steps on how to start a transaction in KW Command with DocuSign, okay? And these steps are very specific in order to link Command and DocuSign together for them to work together. So these first few steps you will really need to know anytime that you start a new transaction, okay? So if you want to pull up a new tab, if you want to leave those notes up, pull up a new tab and go to Command, that's agent.kw.com. So anytime that we're going to start a transaction for the first time, we need to start it in Command so that it links with DocuSign. Okay, and you'll see why. But agent.kw.com will take you to command. And if you are looking at the written notes, you'll see step 1 is we need that person in our contact. So in order to do a transaction, okay, they call it opportunities in KW command. So you'll hear that a lot. I'll tell you more what it means. But we do want to have that contact in our database first. So if you want to click on the contact section, and then you can either use the search to search if you have yourself already in your database or a test contact, or if you want to click on add contact on the top right and add yourself as a test or add a practice contact like Tony Stark, you can. I do recommend for the practice contact using your personal email so that you can see what it looks like when you receive forms like from DocuSign as a client. It won't let you put in the same email twice. So if you already have yourself in your database, it just won't let you add yourself again, which is great. It gets rid of duplicates. Okay, so really all we need is their name and email address. Now, if you're putting in a husband and a wife, just a heads up, that would not be Tony Stark and Pepper Potts all in one field, okay? That would be Tony Stark is one contact, all right? The spouse, Pepper Potts, is a totally separate contact. And then we would click on add relationship right here to link the two contacts together, okay? And that allows each of them to be able to sign the forms that you send them in DocuSign. So that is important that they're in here separately, right? And then I could put in, I don't know if I have it. I need to, right? He's gonna buy a sick house, so. So you can see I can link the contacts and then click create. All right, so I really just need the basic contact information for these contacts, right? It's really just the email address because they're going to get an email to sign these forms in DocuSign, okay? Email address and the name that they'll use to sign. Okay. So if you didn't create a new one, if you're just going to use an existing contact, click on that contact. And then on the right-hand side, you'll see that opportunities tab, okay? And opportunities are really just as corny as it sounds. You'll create a new opportunity anytime you have an opportunity for a listing or a sale. And I'll show you this on your pipeline in a minute, but we're going to go through the how-tos first on how to get your forms and get them electronically signed. So on the right-hand side, you'll see it says create opportunity. Click on that. And it looks like an overwhelming amount of fields that you have to fill in, but it's really just 3, okay? So opportunity type. So if you want to jot down the 3 fields, it is on the notes, but these are the 3 fields you have to fill out. Opportunity type, is this a listing, buyer, landlord, or tenant? So whichever one you'd like to do, the listing and the buyer, very similar. Okay, the second section I have to fill out is I'm checking over the client information. So I can see my client already pulled in. If there's a co-seller that needs to sign, right, I want to make sure my clients are here. And the third and final field I have to fill out is the commission rate, okay? And this is changeable, so if they haggle you down, no worries. Put what you would typically charge on your side of the transaction only. So that would be 3% typically. All right, so again, 3 fields I had to fill out: opportunity type, make sure your clients are both there. Like if there is a spouse, they're both here. And lastly, the commission rate. So really just 3 fields, even though it looks overwhelming, and I can click create. Okay. And that will create an opportunity for you. So I can see that here, which I can always access from the contact itself. On the opportunities, I see a 1 now, and I'm simply going to click on the opportunity name in green to open that up. All right, so we'll talk about what these different tabs do in a minute here. All right, but first I just want to take you directly into the documents, and then we'll come back here so that you guys get the most important stuff you need to know first. Okay, so how we get into DocuSign, how you get all of your forms, is we click on the Documents tab. Okay, so Documents tab, and now this next part is really important. We click Pick Checklist Type on the left-hand side, because what DocuSign is going to do is automatically pull in the forms that you're required to have, so you don't have to go search for them, but it needs to know which forms to pull in. So that Pick Checklist Type allows you to select, is this a North Carolina listing or sale? Is this South Carolina? And these options, just a heads up, change. If you picked a buyer opportunity, you're going to be looking at different options than I'm looking at because I picked a listing opportunity, and that's normal. Okay, these forms will also automatically change out as July 1 is the new form time, right? Tasha, Sabra, Lynn, your office staff already has the forms and is working on that. They're launching classes first before we change them out. But just so you guys know, this will be handled for you. Okay. So what I'm looking at here, oops, I picked South Carolina. I want North Carolina. Okay, so what I'm looking at here, right, is all the forms that would automatically pull in and all the forms that I'll be required to submit in order to get paid. Okay, so we're going to come back to this. But if you did pick a buyer, right, you're probably not seeing a lot of forms at the very top, and you might have to click on under contract on the left-hand side to see more. Really, we're not doing anything with these forms quite yet. I will come back to that. But again, we select the checklist first, and now when I click on start a transaction on the right-hand side,
That if for buyer is under contract.
yes, yeah, for exactly.
Have all the forms.
Exactly. Yeah, the buyer side, you don't have to submit like a initial file or anything. You're exactly right. Okay, so once I select that checklist, now on the right-hand side, I'm going to click on start a transaction. Okay. You probably won't have the options I'm saying. I have .loop linked up. KW used to use .loop, but yours will probably just go straight into DocuSign when you click on start a transaction. Now, if for any reason nothing happens when you click on start a transaction, it's probably a pop-up blocker. Happens all the time, especially like in Safari if you are on a Mac. But if nothing happens when you click that start a transaction, just look in your URL bar and look for like a little window with an X through it, and you can click to allow pop-ups. Yes, that's correct. So your DocuSign login should be probably your KW email. And then your password should be the same password as your command password.
Get code from your email, it's because I haven't used it.
Yeah.
Or-
Yeah, and usually it will send, like, yeah, if it's your first time logging in on this computer, it will send you an email to your KW email to make sure it's you. So I'll do that any new device. And it does make you log in each day for security purposes. So this is a login you will need to remember. But again, it should be your KW email and then the same password as command. Awesome. Yes. Nailed it, Carla. And take your time if you're still getting in, but once you are in, like on my screen, I can see that, right, all these forms automatically pulled in because I selected I was doing a listing, right? So it knows which forms I need. So I don't have to go get all of those forms. That's a huge time saver, okay? Do we feel comfortable on how we got to this point? If anyone online needs steps, please let me know. All right, so real quick before we go forward, what you need to know is that it is extremely important that you start all transactions from command with the steps we just did, right? We started an opportunity, then from the documents tab, we clicked on start a transaction, okay? It's really important that you start new transactions that way every time so that the two systems link together, okay? You never want to go to DocuSign directly to create a new transaction. However, if you're just trying to quickly get into DocuSign to manage your forms, you absolutely can go to rooms.docusign.com. That might be something you'll want to write down because it did change recently. So in case you get different information, it is rooms.docusign.com that you can go to access all of your forms and get them electronically signed quickly. We just do not want to start transactions from rooms.docusign.com because then the two systems won't link. Is that clear for everyone? Okay, thank you. All right, so now that we see our forms here, let's talk about how we'll edit our forms, send it for electronic signature, and then I'll show you how you can access even more forms if you do need more forms outside of what you're looking at. All right, so now I see my forms. I'm going to click on, let's say, the exclusive right to sell. You can do this for any form and it'll be similar, right? When I click on it, it will load for a minute. And then it will pull up the form and it will autofill the information from command. So your contacts information, like if it requires their email address or contact information, right? It pulls it over from command, right? I can see their name up here, right? So that's why one of the reasons it's very important that we start our transactions in command to link them together, okay? Now what I'm going to do here is fill out the form. Okay, now you will notice that on the bottom of these forms, I do not see initial fields automatically yet. However, the initial fields will automatically display where they're supposed to. So your job at this point is to open the form and click to fill it out. You'll notice filling it out is very intuitive. Like if you want to fill out the address, for example, on the bottom, that is cool if you want to go ahead and do it, because you'll see that it auto fills back and forth. So for example, let's say I put in the address right here. Well, any other forms that I pull up in this room specifically will automatically put in the address because I put it in right here, right? So it does auto fill back and forth. So in today's class, right, in practice, right, you would go through and fill out the form. If you have any questions about what goes in the form, that would be a question for your T group or your coach. Is it specifically T group only? Do you guys know? You can ask either one, I guess.
Yeah, you
right?
can
Okay.
ask either one, yeah, yeah.
Thank you. So either, as far as what goes in, I just don't practice, so I can't guide you as expertly there. Of course, if you have questions on the how, or I do see this all the time, so of course you can meet with me, I can help you. But the practice is I'm filling out the entire form first, and then I'm going to click Save and Close on the top. Now note, and if you already click Save and Close, totally fine, because I'm going to just show you real quick, though, that there's a Document Actions icon on the very top right. So I'm going to show you how you can do all of these actions either one by one with the form or in bulk. Because in general, right, if I'm sending the exclusive right to sell, I probably also want to send the working with real estate agents, right? So there's a lot of times that you want to send multiple forms. However, if you just want to send this one form, right, you fill it out here, you could then click, and don't right now, if you don't mind, don't do this, but you could click Create Envelope, okay? And that will allow you to electronically sign it. Or you could click download, okay? So let's say your clients don't feel comfortable with electronic signatures, right? That happens, right? What you could do is you could pull up the form in their DocuSign room, type in whatever you can, and then download or print it right here to print it out and bring it on the appointment to explain to them in person.
Good question.
Yeah, please.
So, firm license number,
Mhm.
individual license number, doesn't, wouldn't that be automatically?
I would have thought that would have automatically pulled in, but it looks like it doesn't.
Yeah.
I would have to research that deeper to see if that could happen, which especially on the new forms coming out.
Yeah, like firm, oh, and like, that will be.
Yeah, that would be nice to automatically come
Yeah.
in. That's
Mhm.
interesting. Yeah, and the autofill, like what's autofilling? So the question in class is why the firm license number and firm phone number aren't pulling in automatically on the bottom of page 13. That's a great question. That should automatically, there's nothing wrong with your account unless everyone else's is doing that, which it shouldn't be. But anyway, with the new forms coming out, those will all have to be remapped. So, we can, in theory, that will go into place as the new forms come out. But thank you for pointing that out. If you do fill it out on that one form, it'll autofill in all your other forms. Just a heads up, yeah. Okay. So what I'm looking at here, right, I can click Save and Close. I'm gonna, yeah, in this room specifically,
Yeah.
but not for all the other rooms, though. You're exactly right. All right, so I can click on Save and Close on the top. So I'm going to show you how to send this now in bulk. All right, so how you could send, let's say, the working with real estate agents and the exclusive right to sell at the same time. Okay, so step one was I click on each one of the forms first to type in anything I need to first, right? So step one was we edited it. So I'm going to go ahead and show you this without doing that for the working with real estate agents, but no, in theory, right, I would click on that, type it in, save it, and then do these next steps. Okay, great. So when I click these check boxes, okay, you'll notice that this bulk action menu appears. So I like to point out that it's not there at all when I don't have anything checked, because I think that's a little confusing. But when you check the check boxes, right, you could even select all in here. But let's say I'm sending the working with real estate agents and the exclusive right to sell. Okay, I clicked on each one of them, I filled them out, and I click Save and Close. Now I want to send it for electronic signature to my clients. So I check the check boxes in this menu up here. So you can hover over each one of the icons just in case you want to know what it means, right? But we're really going for the pin icon, which is create envelope. And that is DocuSign's term for anytime you are sending something for electronic signatures, you're creating an envelope. And I'll make more sense of that. But again, I select the check boxes of the forms I want to send for electronic signature, and then click create envelope, the pin icon at the top, and it pulls it into an envelope. Okay, so channel snail mail here to make sense of this. Okay, when you grab an envelope, the first thing I do is, okay, I want to add my clients to it. So
You select them,
Yes, yep, and then click on the pen icon
the
right
pen
there.
icon, okay.
Exactly,
Quick
beautiful.
question, why do I don't have the working real estate agents?
It should be, you should automatically, wait, scroll up slightly. I would think it would be in the same order as mine. Mine's just a bigger screen. Oh, there we go, this one.
No, but
Oh.
this is the flyer, not the form.
Oh, like it's not the signable form.
Yeah.
I have gotten a report about that. Who told me that?
I'm glad you asked that, Carla, because it's not.
It's not the right one. It's not the signable one. Interesting. Okay. Thank you for letting me know. I'll just get with Lynn Davis after this and then, but let me show you how you'll get that form. If you don't mind though, for just now, we'll go through how to send it for electronic signatures
yeah,
and then we'll
yeah.
look into that issue. Thank you for bringing that up. And there's, yeah, no. Yeah, and let me go back so that we're all on the same page. Okay, so if you are seeing that pop up online, feel free to go ahead and select the people that need to sign, or you can wait there. And if you're looking at your documents for this, let's click the check boxes of the forms I want to send. We'll come back to look at why that working with real estate agents maybe isn't the correct one. So we'll come back to that. Oh, yep. And then I'm clicking create envelope. That's that pin icon at the top. And then I'm selecting exactly seller 1 and seller 2, if there is 2 sellers. And since it's a listing agreement, you need to sign it as the agent. Most forms you don't have to sign. Yeah, add yourself for this one. But like if it's not a form that you need to sign, you won't even be there as an option to add. Just so you guys know too, this next spinning part always takes around 45 seconds to a minute. There's nothing wrong with your computer. It's pulling their contact information from command so that I can email them directly. So I believe that's why it takes a solid 45 seconds.
Did I select, shoot, did I select,
Yeah, that's perfect.
which one?
Oh, yeah, that one. Create
Create
envelope.
envelope?
Yep,
Okay.
exactly.
I didn't realize that. Thank you.
You have to have, for the great opportunity, and you have the seller, the one that you're listing, you have to have the person under that contact, like a husband, for you to put seller 1 and seller 2, because it's just pulling from one contact, right?
Exactly,
Okay.
right, because you can see, well, and we'll go back to the opportunity, you'll be able to see both contacts linked to the opportunity at the top, but you're exactly right, to link both of them to the opportunity,
Yeah.
that's what we had to do at the beginning.
So we select listing agent, so
Yep.
sell to.
Perfect, and click continue.
Okay.
And those options, though, who you're picking will vary depending on what forms are being signed, depending on who needs to sign that form.
What is seller entity? That's if it's a.
I believe seller entity is something like if they're signing with a, yeah, that POA or,
Right.
I think,
Trust.
yes, a trust, thank you. Okay, so now let's channel snail mail. We're in an envelope, okay? So what we did so far, we grabbed an envelope and we put the documents. So at the top, I see the documents that I would be sending to my clients. Step 2, sending an envelope in snail mail. Okay, I'm gonna add the recipients. Now they automatically display. Yes, I do have a video on this topic. This is being recorded, just heads up. I also have a video on how to do this on kwbresources.com. It's right above the office calendar, I believe. So kwbresources.com, and then scroll down right above the office calendar, you'll see the how-to video. Okay, so this part you guys do need to know. See how it has the 1, 2, and 3 next to it, right? Okay, 9 times out of 10, and I'll tell you what that other one is. 9 times out of 10, you can just uncheck that, okay? And they'll all receive it at the same exact time, okay? Now, just note, if you forget to uncheck it, it doesn't really matter, okay? But let me tell you what you need to know. So if you uncheck it, they'll all receive it at the same exact time and they can all sign it. Now it defaults with it on, okay? All that would happen if I left it on is it would send it first to the person marked as a 1 for them to sign. And person number 2 will not receive the form at all until person number 1 does his job. So the main thing you would need to know there is if you send this off and then you text Tony Stark and Pepper Potts and you're like, hey, I just sent the form for you to sign. Pepper Potts is going to be really confused because no, she didn't get it yet, right? She won't get it until this person does their job. Now, let me quickly tell you when you would use this, and that is like a residential property disclosure. So a residential property disclosure, okay, a form that they need to fill out. So what residential property disclosure, and Crystal, I'll grab your question just a sec here. residential property disclosure, mineral and gas rights, right? Those things they fill out. So if that's the case, you'll want to leave it like this. And what would happen is the person marked as a 1 will get the form to fill out and sign first. And then person marked as a 2 will get it after just to sign for what they filled out. Okay. So the rule of thumb really is you can really just uncheck it for anything but forms they need to fill out. Does that feel okay?
Yeah, so if they both sign it, like, if they get it separate, like, the document we'll put it together.
Yes. It puts
like,
it all
we
together as
merge
one.
Together both.
Yep,
signatures.
they're getting the same one. So, and to the takeaway, it doesn't really matter. It's not going to mess up the process if you leave it on or off. It just really matters how you explain it to them, right? If it's 1, 2, 3, person marked as a 2 or 3, they don't get it at all until this person does it, right? So if you uncheck it, they all get it at the same time. And so you can just let them know, hey, that was sent over.
Agent,
Uh-huh.
do if I need, because they sign, I also. Like,
Yes.
Am I appearing there as an agent? I should be appearing as an agent, right? Or no?
Yes, so you're asking, yeah, when do you go sign it? I'll show
Yeah.
you how to sign it too.
Okay.
But I did ask my mom about this and she said you can go ahead and sign it right away, like after we send it. You don't
Oh,
have to
okay.
wait for
You don't have to
your,
wait for their signature.
Yes.
Okay.
unless your coach says differently, that's what my mom said.
Okay.
And Crystal, I see your hand is raised, so if you have a question, feel free to shout.
Yes, I was in the case when there's two people, there's a husband and wife. Both of them would sign, so you would list the wife as maybe number 1 and the husband is number 2. And is that how it works? But it'll end up being the same form. And how do you know when everyone has signed the form and that it's complete? Or is there like a notification that'll say, hey, number 2, it's been 2 days and they haven't signed? How do we track on that?
Great questions, Crystal. So first of all, you do get a notification each time your client goes to sign. So let's say Tony Stark gets the form, seller 1 gets the form, they sign it. You'll get a notification each time they go to sign. However, you will not get back this fully signed form in your DocuSign room until all parties have signed. And I'll show you exactly what that looks like when you do get the signed copy fully back. However, you do get notified each time someone signs, but you won't see that fully signed DocuSign form in your room until all parties have signed. That being said, if it is a husband and wife and you want them to sign at the same time, right, I could, again, just unclick this, or I could even, right, if I wanted to change them both to a 1, I could absolutely do that and then change the second person to a 2. Right. And there are some good uses to this, if you want the fully signed offer to go to the mortgage provider, or if you have an admin, right, you can have it go to them automatically. But the main time I see this used by agents is really if those clients need to fill out the form, right, the mineral rights or the residential property disclosure, I would leave on the 1, 2, 3. Outside of that, you could just unselect it and then it would go to all of them at once.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Absolutely. Yeah. Keep the questions coming online, guys. Feel free to chirp in at any time. Happy to help. All right, guys. So I'm going to, let's say, uncheck this so they all receive it at the same time. As I scroll down, you can put a message. So if you guys talked about something like, hey, on page 2 or the personal property conveying, make sure you put XYZ. I do recommend putting in this email subject or changing it rather. Just when you go throughout the transaction, you end up sending a bunch of these forms, right? A bunch of envelopes, and this will tell you what's in it right here easily. So if you did want to change this to, let's say, listing agreement and working with real estate agents, this is what top admins recommend working with real estate agents in order to organize your envelopes. And you'll see what I mean in a little bit. So you can just store that in the back of your head, but changing the email subject does help for organization. And I can click on next. Okay. And this next page, I don't really have to do anything. So really a bulk of your work has now been done. Okay. So a majority of your work at this point is done. I'm going to check over the forms to make sure they're set up correctly. Oh, sorry. Click on next on the bottom right. Yep, that yellow button.
So this is gonna, this title
Mhm.
can be for every
Yes.
email unless you.
So that, yeah, it'll always put in like one of the, like the email subject, it'll always be like the first form you selected.
Okay.
If you, and that does show up, of course, in their email inbox, but after you've sent like a bunch of envelopes, it gets kind of confusing on what did I send where, if you need to go back and look at it. So if you were to change this email subject, that's how DocuSign organizes it, so you can easily know what you sent in each one. It's not required, just a best practice. And then when you're done, you can click next. So on this page, again, don't have to do anything. You're gonna notice that the initial fields automatically display on this page. So really all we're doing is checking our work on this page, but I do want to bring your attention to what the colors mean of these initial fields. Okay, because you'll see this drop down on the very top left here, and it assigns a colored dot to each one of your clients. So you can easily see which initial and signature fields are theirs. So really all I do in this part is I preview it. So on the top right, I click preview. Now, Sabra and Tasha, they set up where those initial fields go. So they're really correct because they set them up, right? But if you just want to, sleep at night better because you know it's set up where they can sign everything, I can click on preview on the top right. And then I can preview the form as either client. So I can see exactly what it would look like when my client goes to sign, right? What happens, they get an email, right? They open it up and they click on start here, and it guides them to the first field that they have to fill out. Of course, it's not actually signing the form for them, right? But you can see exactly what it looks like for this client on the top left to be signing the form. So I know I set it up correctly. Oh, the initial fields? Hey, that's not a print. No, we X out. That's interesting. Okay. Who's the yellow?
So it's me and me, like.
Oh, you and you.
So that's why we made, maybe.
Oh, it might just
Set
be
up. Yeah,
confused.
yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
I think that's what's happening.
Okay.
But yes, it should automatically
Okay.
put it. Yeah, so guys, in general, you don't have to worry about too much where the initial fields are, right? Because Sabra, Tasha adds those. I just like to know that. So I know that everyone else in the office is using the same placement, and I can click send on the bottom right. Now, if you're practicing on someone real, or, you can always click on actions on the top to discard. I'm going to click on send so you can see what happens next. Okay. But like that drop down, I could also send later. So if I like to work at 2 a.m. and I want this to actually send to them at 8 a.m., I could do that. All right. But in this practice, let's say I click on send, and it's going to send that form or those set of forms to my clients via email. Okay. And so this is what I'm looking at here. So it takes me, once I click on send, right, it takes me to the envelopes. And if you don't want to click on send, you can always click on the top, like other options, I think it says, and click on discard. All right, so it'll take you to the envelope. So in DocuSign, we spend a majority of our time in the Documents tab, editing our documents, and the Envelopes tab is where I can see anytime that one or a group of forms were sent out for signature, and I can see the status of those signatures. So for example, if I click on that envelope, right, I can see, okay, did I remember to change out the 1, 2, 3? I can see who has signed it. So once they sign it, checks it off. And if you as the agent put in like your KW email here and your account is under your KW email, I would be able to click sign now. So you guys should be able to sign right from here. I just used a different email address. I forgot, that's why. But just again, what you guys know now is where you go to sign at this point. So it sent the form to them to sign. Where you sign as the agent, it will go to your email, right? But you can also sign from the envelopes tab. Click on the envelope and you'll just have an option to sign now up here, as long as you use the same email that's associated with your DocuSign account. Okay, one more thing to know here is that you can also resend it. So if they say that they did not receive it, okay, or let's say person marked as number 1, they got it, they signed it, person number 2, they're saying they didn't get it, right? You can come in here and click on resend, and it will only send it to the people that have not signed yet. Because when they don't sign, it holds up the whole form, right? It does not come back fully signed, and I'll show you that next, until all parties have signed. One second, Shantae.
And I missed something. I had to do the email, wouldn't take it, but where do I go from?
Oh, no worries. We're just in the envelopes tab right here.
Oh, envelopes?
And the question online, recently transferred from another brokerage where you use DocuSign. Is there a way to upload docs that are not in DocuSign into the transaction? Yes. So I'll show you how you can add PDFs, and you can actually edit PDFs as well from DocuSign. I'll show you that next. Great question. If you did have a DocuSign account that was outside of KW, the DocuSign account would need to be reset up with the KW. If you need any help, Shante, here, I'm going to put my email in. I just know it gets a little tricky when you're transferring brokerages and have used DocuSign in the past. So if you need my help, I'm the DocuSign expert. Just shoot me an email. Oh, DigiSign. I see. Okay, thanks. That's different. You're right. Yes. Okay. Then yeah, you can add extra forms, and I'll show you that. All right. So I'm going to X out on the top right here, but I'll show you again how I got here. Right, it was just in the envelopes tab. And that's where I can see anytime that one form was sent, a group of forms, and I can see what the status is. Okay. So the documents tab, right? That's where I have all my documents, and I would like you to stay there. I'm going to switch so I can just show you a different room. I have signed forms. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. Okay. And Shante, I'll show you how to add PDFs after this. All right, so just so you guys know, whenever the form comes back fully signed, okay? So see these icons here? So we have this blue form icon. So there's three kinds of icons. This blue form icon means if I open it up, it would just be typable like we just did, right? We could open it up and start typing in it. Once it comes back fully signed, it comes back as a totally separate form with this green signed icon. And that's only once all parties have signed will that happen. But you'll notice you'll always have the original, right? Here's my original exclusive right to sell. And here's the fully signed exclusive right to sell. And when it comes back, it will come back with signatures and as a PDF so that it preserves the signatures, right? You can't change it, right? And then the final icon that you'll see in here is a PDF icon. So you can manually add PDFs in here, and I'll show you that next. All right, but just so you guys know, again, the signed copy comes back as a totally separate copy. So in this next part, I'm going to show you this practice will be used in two ways, okay? You can do one of two things. One, DocuSign can edit PDFs, which is cool. So let's say, bear with me, an agent on the other side sent you the offer, right, as a PDF. So just attached to her email, sent you the offer signed by her client, let's say the buyers. And now you have this PDF that you need to send to your sellers to get signed. Yes, you could drive it over to their house to have them hand sign it, but oh, they went to Disney World in the middle of their transaction. So we need to email it to them, okay? So how you could do that, right, is I can click on add on the top right, and I can add forms from my computer. So in case you do receive a form that needs to be signed and you receive that in your email as an attachment, you would save it to your computer, then click on add on the top right to add it from your computer, and you could pull in a PDF right away. Okay. Now, and I'm going to show you how now you'll be able to add initial boxes to that form for them to be able to sign it. Because the initial boxes only display automatically if you're working from one of these, like the blue form icon here, right? That means it's a DocuSign form. And you're going to notice you can pull in more of those by clicking on add on the top right. And you see this icon right here, that blue icon, that is where you can go to get more fillable forms. So if you don't have one of the forms, you need like a lead-based paint or something that's not in here, right? I could click on DocuSign forms right here and I can pull in more fillable forms, okay? And I can show you more about that if you guys need. But for right now, I'm going to show you how you can edit a PDF, right? The initial fields don't automatically display. Or another use for this is if that form comes back fully signed, okay? And then you noticed, oh man, the person's name is spelled incorrectly, right? Or you need to make a change to the settlement date, right? You can also cross out a change on a signed form and have them sign for that change, okay? So what I'm about to show you will work for either method. Now, if you want to practice on your end, I mean, feel free to add in a PDF if you have one on your computer, or you can just watch on my screen. All right. So again, you can add any PDFs by clicking on add and select that computer option. If you're instead wanting to add another like fillable form that I can type in, that's that second option down for DocuSign forms. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and if I added that PDF or it's that signed copy, I'll click on it to open it up. Okay, and you'll notice it is not fillable, right? I cannot click to start editing it. Any signed forms or PDFs that the agent on the other side sent you, right? Not fillable. Okay, so what I need to do in order to be able to add initial fields and text boxes is I bring it into an envelope. Okay, so in this case, and we did this in that bulk action way before, but right, I can click on that document actions icon on the top right. That's the icon that looks like a folded piece of paper. And I can click on create envelope. Okay, and this will look very familiar once I do that. So in order to edit a PDF, I have to pull it into an envelope first, which is different from what we just did. Okay. So now I see the form I'm going to be able to edit, and I have the recipients here. So if I want my clients to be able to sign it, just a heads up, if for any reason it doesn't pull it in, which typically for PDFs, it doesn't because it doesn't know who needs to sign. I can click this little address book and that shows me, okay, who's in my room right now. So I can just easily pull in those, my seller 1 and seller 2 without having to type them in again, just a heads up. I'm going to pull in both contacts so you guys can see what it looks like when I have to. Okay. All right. So it's really all I have to do, right? Fill out add the recipients. Of course, I could add a message or change the subject line, but this is where the real excitement begins. Okay. So once I clicked on next on the bottom right, I didn't say that, I clicked on next on the bottom right. And this is where those fields on the left-hand side really come into handy. So you'll see if I click the drop down on the top left, I have my 2 clients here. And if I select one or the other, it changes all of these fields to that color, right? So if it's a field they need to fill in, right? If it's a text box they need to fill in, great, I could add that here. But let's say I'm using the example that, because I'll show you both examples here. Let's say I'm showing you the example where the agent on the other side sent you a PDF signed by her clients, and now I need to add my client's initials, okay? So imagine this is signed by the buyers. So now I need to add my client's initial boxes so they can electronically sign it, even though it's a PDF. So as you might have guessed, I'll click on the initial field on the left-hand side. You'll see it starts following your mouse, and I can click to drop. Now, I need both clients to sign, of course. So I need to then change the drop down up here. And again, I only have to do this if this is a PDF, right? If this the other agent sent it to me, and I'm going to lay the initial box next to it. Okay, now there are a lot of pages in this offer, and that would take quite a while to go through and select one by one like that. So you can now copy and paste it down the page, okay? So first what I did, and again, this is if the agent on the other side sent me a PDF and I want to change it to allow my clients to electronically sign, I add each one of the initial boxes separately in the 2 different colors, right? That was step 1. Now I'm going to copy it. So to do that, I'm going to, if I click and hold my mouse and draw a box around it, it selects both of them. So again, I'm just holding down on my mouse and like dragging, and it makes a square to select both of them. Okay. And you will need to use some shortcuts on your keyboard for this. So I can tell it they're both selected because they're both blue edged, right? And I can do Control C as in cat. Control on my keyboard C. If you are a Mac user, replace Control with Command every time I say it. So Mac users Command C, but I'm going to say Control for the rest of this. So Control C. Now I'm going to scroll down to where I want to paste it. And I'm going to click on where I want those fields to drop. And I'm going to press on my keyboard Control V as in Victor. Okay. So Control C as in cat to copy, Control V as in Victor to paste. And I'll show you that again. Okay, if it lays it anywhere wonky, like in here, right, you can just click to start dragging to move it around, right? Because the trick is they're both selected. And so now I could keep going down. I could go to the next page, click, and just press Control V or Command V. I'm going to show you those steps one more time so you feel comfortable, and then I'll show you how quick it is. So I'm clicking and holding my mouse to drag and select both of them. Then I'm doing Control C as in cat on my keyboard, Command C for Mac, and Control V as in Victor to paste it. Then I go to the next page, click, drop, right? Click, Control V to paste. So this is a really quick way that you can go through and lay all the initial fields without having to do it one by one, okay? Just a quick little workaround. Now, another thing you may need to know, okay, any questions on actually that before I move forward? Okay. All right, the other thing you might need to know is how do I make changes? Let's say this is a fully executed document, okay? And then I noticed, dang it, I put my client's name as Tony Stark, his name is Anthony Stark, right? So I want to cross that out and put a text box and have them sign, right? So in order to lay a text box, so you'll see text box right here, but if it's blue, it will make this client fill it out, okay? So instead, how you get to the agent fields, this is really the only time we switch on this menu on the left-hand side. So you'll see this little gray menu, and the very bottom one is a pencil icon, okay? You'll see they're all gray. They're gray because they're yours as the agent. So anytime you need to make changes to the form, that's where you would select. Make sure they're gray, because if they're a color, right, that would correlate to one of your clients and it would make them fill it out. So to show you how this works, so again, I clicked on that icon on the far left, and I'm going to click on the line. So let's say I want to strike that through. Okay, so let's say I want to strike out my client's name. I'm going to click to drop that on either side. Of course, you'll see the dots that I could then expand that further, make it smaller, et cetera, et cetera. And then on the left-hand side, I want to add a text box to put the real name, right? So I'm going to add text, line that up, click. It's always going to be this big when you first lay it, so you usually need to expand that, just a heads up. So I did that by clicking on the corner and expanding it. Okay, and I can put in the correct information. Now it's really important that this text box is gray and not blue or yellow, or it would make them fill it out, okay? So instead now what I do want them to fill out is their initials to sign for that change, right? So pre-fill tools, that's where I did all the agent work, but I need to go back to the standard fields. So that's the very top icon. So it's really the top icon and the bottom icon on the left-hand side you need to know. So now I want each color initial box for them to be able to sign. So let's say I'll put that in the field here. Initial box right there, and then I'll switch to my other client. And I know this is a little fast, so let me know if you want to see that again. I switch back and forth to grab the initial boxes for each client. And so now, just a heads up, when I click on send, it would send this form to them to sign, but I won't see this change on the form in my DocuSign room until those are signed. So until it's fully initialed, I don't see the change I made to the PDF, okay? So you guys know. If you don't have any questions on that, if you do, feel free to jump in.
What is that? Black. Is that the change that you did?
Good question. Wait, where are you saying? Oh, this right here
Yeah.
on the side. Great question. Yes. So on the right-hand side where you see like the preview of the forms on the left-hand or right-hand side rather, right? I can see each time that my client yellow and blue, the gray one is me. So any field that I filled out, that's what tells me quickly, oh, okay, I have an agent field on this one, right? But not on this one, for example. All right, and I can click on send. If you do have questions, let me know. But the final thing, if you can stick around for 7 more minutes, is I just want to show you how you submit your paperwork for compliance review so you can get paid. Of course, that's important. So at this point, if you want to click send, or if you want to just click on actions at the top and click on save and close, you can do that. I'll take you out of here. Okay. So what you need to know about when you submit your paperwork to the office. They do not look at this DocuSign file that we're in at all until you submit for review. And I'll show you where you do that, but it's not even in DocuSign. So the office does not come into DocuSign to look at your forms. Okay, this is all for you. Okay, but I'm going to switch back and forth right now to this other tab, which is, it has a KW on the top and it says Opportunities Command. Okay, you should still have that open. All right, if not, you can go back into your command contacts to pull up that opportunity. If you need steps on how to get to an opportunity, just let me know. But I want to draw a difference for you guys. So I'm in the opportunity in the documents tab, right? That's how I got into DocuSign, by clicking start a transaction. So, okay, there's a documents tab of my opportunity, but then if I click on DocuSign, right? I also have a document side of DocuSign. Why? That confused me a lot at the beginning. So let me tell you how the two systems work together. So DocuSign, right? DocuSign is used between you as the agent and your clients to get your forms signed. Fill out your forms, get them signed. DocuSign is used between you as the agent and your client. The opportunity, so Command, this Documents tab is used between you as the agent and the office to do compliance review and give you your paycheck, okay? So the Documents tab in Command, that's where you go to submit your signed paperwork so they can release your paycheck, okay? Keep you out of real estate jail. So on the left-hand side, so if you need steps to get here, just let me know. But I am in the Documents tab, right? That's where I clicked on Start a Transaction. It says Go to Transaction now once I click that. But on the left-hand side, right, that's where I see those folders of all the forms I need to be in compliance. Now, if you did a buyer opportunity, you'll start on the under contract one. But if you are representing the listing, right, you would be under listed. Now, what you're looking at here is a checklist of the forms that you need. That's not the forms themselves. It's the forms you would need in order to get paid. Now, first thing I do is I come in here and I click on this requirement column, and that will sort all the required forms to the top. So you really only have to submit, technically, the required forms here, marked required. Anything that says conditional, well, that would be like, okay, if it's built in 78, then you would need the lead-based paint, but you don't otherwise, right? So conditional means depending on the property. If it has like a septic tank, then you would need a septic permit, okay? But required is all the things you need, period, to get paid no matter what. And if you have questions on this, feel free to meet with me. I mean, I used to do compliance for the office, but how you would add them in, okay? Let's say I got my working with real estate agents signed in my exclusive right to sell. So what I'm seeing is a drop down here that would automatically see any signed forms or PDFs in DocuSign. So I know it says no options right now. I don't have any signed forms in this room. However, when you click select, it automatically just shows you any signed forms and PDFs. So you can simply click on working with real estate agent and it pulls it over from DocuSign for you, okay? So it's as simple as clicking the drop down. You'll see your signed paperwork in that room specifically. So you can click on it and it'll pull it in. Now, if you did get it signed, hand signed, okay? Just a heads up, you can change that in that case from attaching files from DocuSign to attaching from your computer. The office printers and scanners here, they scan right to your email. You're in the address book in there. So if you were to like scan your documents you got hand signed, it will go straight to your email. Then you could save it to your computer and click right here to add them. Right, and then it adds in that paperwork, that signed copy. Okay. So I would want to do that for all the required ones. So in general, just so you guys know, you would want to do this if you're representing the listing within about a week of going live in the MLS. You want to do this within about a week of going under contract. And then closing, I mean, as quickly as you want your closing check, right? So they will not release your closing check until you have all of this in compliance. Now, how you get them compliance checks, right? So once you add that listing paperwork that's required, you then would click submit to MC. Don't do it now, right? Unless you're ready. But where it says submit to MC, that sends it to Carla, and Carla does our compliance review in the office. So she won't look at it though until you click submit to MC. And you want to click submit to MC. Again, if you're representing the listing, you do that once within 7 days of the listing going live with all your listing paperwork, once when you go under contract within 7 days, and then once when you close, right? Questions on compliance? Okay, just so you guys know, when you do go under contract, there is one more step I haven't told you about. It's a whole another 30-minute class, or, you know, so when you need to do that, the offers and commissions tab. So when you go under contract, there is a brand new way to do that. It is on KWB resources as well, or you can shoot me an email. It's just a different layout, but you do need to submit that in order to get paid, and you would do that when you go under contract. If I will take any questions that you guys have, but I just want to highlight one more time how you would print out paperwork to sign, because agents get pretty confused on that because the system's a little confusing on it. So if you do just want to print out blank documents, all right? So if you want to print out, let's say your listing agreement, if you want to fill it out, or if you just want to print it out blank, okay, in DocuSign, you would always do that in DocuSign. Okay, what confuses agents, also, it says my documents at the top. So it looks like that would be a place I could just print out a blank document. If I do it from my documents, you see where my mouse is up here, It'll say sample over every form and make you want to pull your hair out. Yeah, so if you do need to print out forms, you do need to go into a DocuSign room. So you would still need to create like an opportunity for that client, right? Or you could just have like one opportunity. But in here, right, this is where my forms would need to be in my DocuSign room. So I can then click the check boxes for the forms I want to print and then click to print it up here. This one, right? So just so you guys know, in order to print the forms, you still have to bring them into a DocuSign room like we did today. You cannot do it just right from the My Documents tab at the top, or it'll say sample.
We create like a sample document, we're gonna explain it in the meeting, and then, okay, this is the sample, print it with the sample note. And then, but I'm sending you the one that you're gonna sign, and then the one that we send without.
Yeah, and I love that. And I believe on the listing agreement anyway,
Uh-huh.
it says that you showed them a sample of the offer. Is that in the
Okay,
listing agreement?
yeah.
So, and that should come in automatically, the sample forms, you know. But yeah, you're right. Like that wouldn't be a bad place to grab sample forms if that's your goal. But you know, if it's not your goal to have sample over it, it'll really be frustrating. And everything I said, I'll show you where this is. Again, it's on KWB resources. I'll show you where. But everything I said is broken down into 10-minute videos. So if you have this and okay, I need to just print forms, I can't figure out how, here's a 10-minute video of me explaining just what I just told you right now, right? You can create templates in DocuSign that pre-fills in the listing agreement that you can just automatically pull in that listing agreement every time, okay? So in case you want these notes, and of course you can meet with me as well, I'll show you this in person, right? But this is on KWB resources. Hover over tech resources at the top and tech calendar for these notes. You'll have to scroll down. I'll send this in the chat for you guys, actually. That'll make your life easier. So I'm just gonna shoot this in the chat so you guys have this. All right, if you have any questions, KWB resources, I need tech help on the top right is our one-on-one meetings. You can meet with us up to once a week, paid for by the Market Center. So let me know if you need help. And especially like when you go under contract, just plan to meet with us if you would like to. Because then I can show you
Yeah.
that firsthand. Because you don't need that knowledge until you go under contract and you're probably gonna forget it
Yeah,
by that time anyway, you know. So just know that's absolutely fine.
so if we want to create a, campaign that's just for printing blank documents, can we just create what's the name of the campaign, just?
Yeah, it does autofill, like you're talking about the opportunity, right? Or DocuSign room.
Yeah, you said if you want to just print
Do,
these.
yeah, like I know I just told you guys not to create transactions directly from DocuSign, right? I said that. But if you come in, you know, to DocuSign, into rooms.docusign.com, like if you just clicked on the rooms, you could click on new on the top right. Again, this is not something we do regularly, right? But like if you clicked on new and just wanted to have like a regular DocuSign room in there that had all your blank paperwork so you could easily print out blank paperwork. I have seen agents do that, just as long as you know that we start transactions and
Sure.
command things.
That's called room.
It messes everything up if you don't, so I
Yeah.
just want to make sure you guys are comfortable there.
Okay.
Do you feel okay on that, Carla?
Yes.
Great. Okay, anyone online have questions? Let me know, shoot me an email, happy to help.
So you will figure out the.
Oh,
what-
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, let's see if I can pull it in manually too. Where to get paid? Each document needs to be sent in one at a time. No, no. So in order to get paid, you would need to put all of your documents, and I can help you with this if you want to book a one-on-one with us. But all of your documents in order to get paid does need to be entered in here one by one. So like if you have that all as like one file.
But what part, let's say, in her training was
Mhm.
also like, as soon as you have a document ready.
Mhm. Put it in there.
Put it in there,
That's good advice.
yeah.
So yeah, if it's easier for you to just do that, right, as soon as you get it signed, go ahead and put it in, right?
I know it's right away, you're gonna need something extra in the back.
Right, right. And it's wonderful because once it goes to Carla for compliance review, she doesn't just check to make sure you have the form, she checks to make sure all your T's are crossed, I's are dotted, like you didn't miss any fields that are gonna send you to, again, real estate jail. Scary place, scary place. It's on the back of a magazine. They send out every month all the people that went to real estate jail in a month. They do, yeah. they didn't, I don't think they actually go anywhere for that record. It's just like on the back of a magazine, it lists their name.
I see, Carla up here, she's kind of changed.
Yeah, that's normal. That's Lynn. She's on all of them. You know, actually, you did it correct if you see her face there, because that means you create it in command and then it makes Lynn
So
go on the top.
right here, I was going to do a new, this is where I can do the new room where I just want to print.
Exactly. And this looks weird because we don't usually do it this way, but if you just want to do like test or blank paperwork, it's the name of the room, right?
Oh, here?
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, for sure. Can I answer any other questions for you, Carla?
No,
Or-
I mean, I need to figure out how to that form appear, or maybe it's.
Oh,
because-
sorry, that was 3 seconds ago. Okay, let's see.
And, automatically,
Oh, whoops.
office.
Yeah, I think for that one, we'll wait until the new forms come through, because in theory, that should automatically happen. But in theory, it should have already happened on that one too, so, you know. Let me see if I can add that one manually.
I
So,
think Rob said that we can add the form, but
okay,
I'm just.
It would be nice if
surprised
it-
that doesn't appear, so
it
I need
should.
to make another tryout.
so the question was, and this is a very good question, apparently this working with real estate agents is not the correct one that has, like, can be signed, it's just the pamphlet with the information. I'm gonna work with the office staff to make that not happen, right? Because this automatically pulled in, so it should be the correct one, but they can't sign this one. So in the interim, before I get this fixed, if you run into that, you can come up to add on the top right to manually go grab that form. So in that case, right, that blue icon, second one down, those are the fillable forms. I know we touched on this briefly, but to go a little more in depth on the left-hand side, right, you can break it down by the type of form it is, which I find is really helpful. Sabre breaks those down, or you can see the entire libraries on the bottom left. But for example, like, I think this is the right one. The working with real estate agents, I'll pull it in to double check, right? But if I click on the checkbox, I can then click add selected, same concept if I needed like the lead-based paint disclosure, right? I could go grab any additional forms that don't automatically pull in. And then same process from here. Let's see if we can initial this one though. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is the right one. Okay, well, that's good. Now I know too which one to tell Lynn. So yeah, I should be able to get that fixed for you. Now, if you have a room you already created, of course, you'll have to manually go find that. So just so you guys know.
I mean, it's good to send the pamphlet, but
Even better to have it signed
know.
and you not get in trouble. Yes. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. Do you feel comfortable on how to grab that in the meantime if
Yeah,
you
yeah,
run
yeah,
into
yeah.
that? Okay.
yeah,
Okay, great. All right. Anything else, guys?
no. you do it about
Okay.
that. Thank you.
Jules
Thank
comes
you.
in for 1 minute in the back and starts clapping.
That's my favorite part.
Yeah.
I like ran here. Yeah. Like, oh, what if I missed again?
To be able to clap.
Like any notes.
I had this blank for it. How do I
Okay, yeah.
go and-
So click on add here
Mhm. Whoopsie, add.
and then add DocuSign form, second one up
Okay.
down. Awesome. And then on the left-hand side, so you could click like North Carolina listing
Yeah,
file.
listing, okay.
It's just like, and then grabbing some of those, not all of
Yeah,
those.
okay.
All right,
And
so
this form, you just talked about the work with real estate agents. You did find the signable
Yeah.
one?
that should be under, what was like right there, that one, 161. Should be, the signable working with real estate agents should just be form number 161, so if you search
Okay.
that. But I'll get that fixed. Yeah, if you guys have any more questions online, feel free to shoot me an email or come meet with us. Thanks for coming.
So this is gonna be